Hey there, this is Jen with Laughing Lotus Wellness, and we're just going to go through a few things to get you prepared for the different yoga classes and series that I'm running, just so you kind of have an idea of what to expect, self-care, and how to use virtual tools the most effective way you can to have a good experience. And so one of the first things I would tell you is that if you're doing virtual classes with me, that I use WebEx as software. So what you're going to want to do is go download WebEx. It's super easy. All you need to do is have an email. If you're a teen, you can use a parent's email or yours, whichever is comfortable for your parent. And all you want to do is download that so that you're ready to go. And then I send you the link each and every week for a class so you can sign into that time. So that's how that kind of works. It's really easy, and that's true for any class that's going on. And so that's how the software piece of the kind of virtual component will work. I do tell you to download it because it seems to run more effectively if you actually have the software. You can do it without and just use my link and go in, and that's really easy too. It just seems to work better. So I would strongly recommend, since it only takes an email, that you actually get that software, get that downloaded, super easy. And I have had, really, knock on wood, very, very good luck using that as a tool. So the reason I would encourage you to get that software and maybe actually try it out once, so you could even do it at home. If you had two, forms of technology, you could use a computer and a phone. You and a parent kind of play around, or you and a partner could play around with trying to get that WebEx up and running. And so if you have the software, just somebody invite the other person so you guys can go in and try to have that experience where you see how that works. Here's the one challenge I would tell you. If you have a phone versus a computer, the phone is a little more challenging to use from a buttons perspective and being able to see things. Does that mean you cannot do your virtual class on a phone? No, you absolutely can. There's just going to be times where you might like to have a bigger screen and the ability to see the buttons a little more readily. So I'm just throwing that out there. But if you go in and mess around ahead of time, kind of check out where things are mechanically on your phone, you're going to be fine. I just want to give you a heads up about that. Something unique about virtual classes, you will primarily be muted by me. The reason we do that isn't because I don't want to hear from you. To the contrary, I love, love, love actually having engaging conversations with my students whenever we're doing something. And I will give time for that where that's appropriate in our practices. And I will unmute you, or I will call you out individually and you can unmute yourself. That's the kind of mechanical stuff that it's smart to go in and just check out, like, how do I do that? How do I mute? How do I unmute? How do I turn off my camera? There's going to be some moments, particularly for my teens, we're going to be up and doing some different things. You might not necessarily want everyone to see you for the whole class. So if you want to be able to turn that camera off, but still hear me, see me, etc., that's a good thing to kind of go in and figure out. So for anybody new to technology, go ahead. Like I said, if you get a chance, check this out just a little bit so you have some familiarity with it and you're not getting in there the first night and you're frazzled or something isn't working. Using technology means we're going to have errors and struggles from time to time. It is just a part of life. But as much as we can, I like to minimize that and have you feeling confident and comfortable coming in there and getting in class and having that material come right at you in a way that is effective and easy to use. So those are some things I want to talk about just from a mechanical perspective, right? So that's one layer. The second layer is what to have for your class, what you want to have on hand. So I would say if you're doing, for example, a yoga class, you might want a mat. You don't even really have to have that. I do recommend maybe having a blanket handy. If you have a mat, you're welcome to have that handy. I really try to do things with a minimal amount of props, so that virtually when you're out there in your homes, you're not required to have a whole bunch of gear to have a really beautiful yoga practice or a yoga nidra practice or participate in a series or group. So you can have very minimal things, but really what you're looking for is all about comfort. So if we're going to lay down at the very end of a class and spend some time hanging out on the floor, relaxing, have things that make you feel relaxed, a pillow, a blanket, etc. I really recommend for each of you that you find a space that's private. I know that's hard because we're all living in this technological world together now in homes and things like that, where we don't always have that opportunity. So if it's not feasible, you just do your best. If it is feasible, it's nice to get things kind of set up and squared away in a space you can close the door and have an experience and not be worried about people coming and going, not worried about people seeing what you're doing, not worried about hearing if we're having conversation, if you want to participate in that and have privacy. So one thing I would say is, if I'm talking to my teens and their parents, if you can help me parents and make sure that your teens have a space away, that would be really beautiful. Again, if it's not, that's okay. But giving them their space and time to really engage in this practice for themselves is just a huge piece of them feeling like they can actually really connect in it. And so I do recommend that when possible. If you're doing yoga nidra, my friends, show up in your jammies if you want. Very, very comfortable clothing. Truly, you can either not turn your camera on at all, or you can turn it on for part of the class and then turn it off for the very end. We're going to go deep into yoga nidra. I am never offended by that. Be comfortable. Any practice we're going to do is going to be pretty loose and easy and fluid, and it's going to be restorative. There's not going to be any high action kind of energy in a yoga nidra class, okay? So that's really easy to be prepared for. Sometimes I would encourage you to have, something like a journal, a piece of paper, pen, pencil, just so that in case we end up doing any journaling, you have something handy. I'm usually really clear if that's going to be a part of a class. So if there's something that I need you to do or want you to do, I'm usually going to be able to kind of give you a heads up right in front of your class time. So you're not having to scramble around and do stuff when we're in the middle of a class. Okay. That's my job, to be prepared to let you know what to bring if there's something that's unusual, but really it's pretty easy and low key. Self-care in class is really important. We're not going to do a lot of high-end yoga from a very, very technical perspective. And that's intentional because you are at home. You're not in a class with me. I can't physically watch your body. I'm not, in a space where I can help make an adjustment for you and help you, maximize your experience in a posture. So I keep it easy because that's just my way of sort of minimizing someone getting injured, things like that. Still, all yoga, any practice you're going to do has some potential, whatever, but that's really rare, and we're going to keep it really easy. I still want to talk about safety in your class. So when you sign in, and you're there, I want you to be really mindful that you are giving yourself some time between eating and practice, usually an hour if you can help it, because your food's digesting. You kind of don't want to show up on your mat and feel like groggy and heavy from a meal. Again, if it's a half an hour before, show up. 10 minutes, just show up. If you have to show up on a full stomach, what I would do is just listen to your body, right? Listen to whatever happens. If you're like, oh, I kind of feel like I need to slow it down or take it easier. This posture is not feeling good, or I kind of need to adjust. Please self-adjust, okay? Know that you're welcome to do so at any time in any class. That staying hydrated is very important as well. I always want you guys to make sure you're drinking lots of water throughout the day, every day, but definitely while you're practicing as well. And then from a safety perspective, I always tell my yoga students that I want you to listen to your bodies. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but I really want you to pay attention to if you're doing something and you're taking it to an edge where you feel challenged, but no pain, that's awesome. If you do something and you notice, like pain, burning, anything that's like, feels like, oh, that seems abnormal, I want you to step back from it. Okay. So come out of that posture or take it in a much more relaxed mode. There's no pain in yoga. In my yoga class, there should be no pain. So if you go to do something, you feel uncomfortable, then I want you to back off. Like I said, take it easier. You could take a different pose. You can just sit in an easy seated pose, which is just like crisscross applesauce. You can take a child's pose. Some of these things I'll be teaching if you don't know what they are. You can always take a very easy and restorative posture if something is not sitting with you for that day, okay? So know that if I'm doing something and it feels like it's stretching you too far, please back out. Always maintain the integrity of your feeling steady and safe and secure, and it should not be painful. Okay, so I want you to be really well aware of that when you're engaging in any yoga class, particularly as my student. Take good care of your person. If you need to get up and use the restroom during a class, get up and exit and use the restroom. If you need, if you need something, if something's going on, please do exit. I will tell you the reason that I mute you guys, and I should have said this in the beginning, but I don't want to redo the whole video. The reason I mute you guys is because when we don't in virtual meetings, what happens is all of the noise in your background, lawns being mowed, dogs barking, people watching TV, it doesn't matter what it is, it all comes in. So what happens is you end up with this crazy chaos in which you can't even hear yourself think, okay? And it is not a good experience. Trust me, I did a whole video series. I know all about this craziness. We learned the hard way. So I do want to tell you that's why it's so crucial that we keep you guys muted. And also, again, if you can be removed from, and have kind of a private space, all the better, because that usually kind of helps minimize that outside noise and things like that. So, that's really it. I want you to take good care of yourself. Let me know if you've got questions. If ever at the end of a class you've got a question, I welcome you to unmute yourself and say, hey, Jen, I've got something I'd like to talk about quick before we're done for the night. I'm happy to stay on with you. That is not a problem. I'm always, always, always happy to answer any questions if you have any. And like, by all means, just give me a shout if you need something. And during class, if somebody really needed something or noticed something, I will do a lot of hand cues with you all in virtual classes. So I might look at a group of people and see you in the screen, right? And it's always gonna be a theoretical circle that we're in, even though it looks like we're all in a bunch of cubes like Brady Bunch, for those that just aged me like a gazillion years. But for those of you that remember, we're actually kind of sitting in a circle theoretically. What I am going to do every once in a while is, can you hear me? And just give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs down. So what I need from you guys is just that, like, head, thumbs up, thumbs down, it's okay. Let me know with those those nonverbal cues if something's not working, or unmute yourself and be like, hey, Jen, you're in the dark back there. I can't even see you, sister. What are you doing? So please know that you're always welcome to unmute and ask a question if there's something that's really pressing or something that's not working. By all means, this is your class, it's your time. Please unmute yourself and let me know if there's something, because if you're wondering it or you're struggling, there's a very good chance somebody else is. If they're not, so what I would do is if you were like, hey Jen, it's really dark, or I can't see where it's really glitchy. If I look at my group and I say, okay, is that true for everyone else? And everybody goes, yep, then I know there's something going on technologically as a whole. If everybody's like, no, I'm good, then I might tell you, all right, you know what I want you to do? I want you to hang up, sign off, sign back in, and see if the service is better, because sometimes it will be the service on your end as well. So there's things like that we kind of have to mess around with. So if you're noticing a lot of glitchy kind of stuff, that's very rare. But if you were, it's okay to sign out, get logged off, get logged back in, and see if that's better. Usually that resolves it for people, okay? So I wanna give you a heads up on those things. Safety is super important, and steadiness and comfort is the goal of every single class I ever teach. Like I said, please be mindful of your own well-being and what you need. If you're not feeling well for some reason, you gotta cut out 15 minutes early, by all means. I'm not offended. I want you to take good care of yourself and get your needs met first and foremost. Always, always from a place of safety and care, okay? So that's how classes work. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I can do it like one time and have it on YouTube, and I can send you guys a link and you guys can listen ahead of time, so that we're not taking all of this time. It's been almost 15 minutes. I don't want to eat into classes that often. So this way I can send it to you all and be like, hey, just watch that quick video and learn about how it's going to kind of be. And then each and every class that we start will have a welcome, and we'll talk a little bit about the intention of each class as a series. That's individual. This is more, if you're in my classes, just in general, these are some things I want you to be aware of, particularly for virtual ones. So that's how things are going to work. I can't wait to see you on the mat. I hope you're fired up. I've been organizing all of my thoughts and ideas, and creativity is flowing, and I'm super excited and I'm fired up. So I hope you are too, and I can't wait to see you on the mat.